on to the State Farm Analyst Zone, where we're looking at the results of Team Liquid versus Suning Gaming. We have talked so much about how important to draft is for these games. It always is in League of Legends. But the draft difference in this one was so insane that Kadril didn't get a word out when he was seeing it appear on the screen. And I think we're going to spend most of our time looking at that draft and just the immaculate planning coming out of Suning.
This draft was poked to the champ, I'm sure of it. Like, if you look at it, we talked about the combos they had. The Grave Shen, that's taken out in the first round. The TF Renekton, that's taken out in the first phases. And then you think, oh, Twitch Rakan is the one. So when they see the 2-3 coming out, they know that if they knew they would pick Twitch Rakan. It's a given. So that they instantly lock in the Draven. And then they had the supports to go 4-5, whether it's Leona, Nautilus, Thresh, anything with the Draven to make it so they're winning. This draft was just magnificent as well, because then they ban out top laners as well. And then they take away the Mordecai, so they know Impact has no champs left for blind picks, so he has to default something like the Volibear. Then they have the Jax prepared. I'm sure if they pick something like Sion as well, the Jax was coming out, and there was so many ways that they drafted so well around this that, like, just honor the coach.
And there's two factors here. There's Suning absolutely downloading TL and how predictable they were. That is Suning doing well. There's also TL absolutely running it in draft. As soon as you see the Nidalee come out and then you pivot and you still lock in the Rakan Twitch, like, you're probably going to lose the bot side of your map. You then cannot afford to not ban out the Jax counter to Volibear if that's kind of the last pick that you have, and to grab the Volibear and then lose to the Jax matchup anyway. Because you can't play through bot side, and it got blasted harder than TL probably have experienced before in their LCS careers. You then have to be able to play through either mid or top side, and that's where it got continued to run down because you can't kill the Galio, and they weren't punishing the Jax.
Yeah, and the whole game plan coming into it, not only is the draft so well prepared, like, it's a complete draft kingdom. You might not stay it by the comps, but just by the players and the teams itself. It's a draft kingdom, and then the game plan itself as well. Pick Draven Leona, go for the early game invade, split the map bot side, bot lane can't lane, it's horror central down there. They're down 20 CS in 5 minutes. They're losing 2 plates in the first 3 minutes as well.
Now, let's look at it at kind of the replay, the very impressive replay. I mean, it looks like nothing, but it is oh so important. They end up proxying the wave bot lane by putting the pressure down bot, so pushing Tactical off that turret because he's not allowed to farm. He's not allowed to play the game.
It's an absolute tragedy. I mean, SwordArt can do whatever he wants. They have, like, some sort of mid push. They have TPs if there's going to be any scrap. They know Brox is top side because he showed on the top red buff. And SOFM, even he could just sit here. He could run away. I mean, his bot lane can be fake pressure geniuses, fake that he's here a little bit, try to trade in. And you lose 2 plates on the first 3 waves. I've never seen that before in my life.
You lose 2 plates. You lose all of the wave. You were ambushing back towards the creep wave just to get anything. And meanwhile, while all of this is happening, again, like, you were probably going to lose bot side. They definitely didn't expect that they would get blasted this hard, but you needed to have something happen elsewhere on the map. And that was kind of the big win for Suning, is that they just choked TL out. Like, Broxo was able to be non-existent. SOFM had a massive CS lead on him, a level lead. They had all of the dragons, and they smashed through bot lane.
SOFM was also our Oppo player of the game. I mean, we could give it to the coaching staff if we could, but we've done that before in Europe and people got really mad. So SOFM, really, well, I mean, you were building him up even before this, and yesterday he had an incredible game. He had an interview in which he said, all I want is that people know who I am.
We know
TL
who you
certainly knows who you are now.
We know. I mean, man, this draft was just crazy, crazy good. I mean, this is what peak drafting looks like, and it comes from Suning. I mean, the draft was good, the execution was good, they played fights well, and even though they only had 3 kills in like 25 minutes, they still had an 8,000 gold lead, and that's just purely based off their game plan and the execution.
I just want to button it up. We don't have a lot of time left. Let's take stock of everything kind of for TL and Suning. To button it up for Suning, maybe you can add to that, Frausker. And we've now seen different looks, really good in team fights, but amazing in preparation and drafts as well. And this is shaping up to be a multi-threat for this group.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Suning is a good team, but there is still a massive gap between them, TES, and JDG. Losing to Suning the way that you did, you cannot make these mistakes. That is a big yikes for North America. Not having preparation to know that Huangfeng does play the Draven, that's one of his signature picks. Yeah, he didn't show it, so maybe if you just went to Games of Legend and scrolled through, you wouldn't know it. But you had to know that that was going to be there. This was just a huge miss from TL, and I'm tired of pulling punches. That was not acceptable.
Okay, I wanted to button it up for TL, but I think you've done it with that, unless you want to add something.
I mean, the only thing I would say is I think the TL kind of showed their hand in planes. They showed all their drafts, their combos, and I think that Suning just did so well. They downloaded it all, they went through it all, and they just read them so like a book, basically.
Well, not holding any punches, but it was dramatic for TL and just glorious in the draft from Suning. And for more on Suning's win, Laura is ready with SwordArt.
Thank you very
我
much,
是看了，
Shox
就看这个。
Law here with SwordArt after Sooning's first victory here at Worlds. Thank you very much for joining me. I guess you got to face TL after doing some research about them because they were playing in the play-in a week before. So is there anything you learned about the team that got you ready today for facing them?
那首先恭喜你们获得本场比赛的胜利。那 Team Liquid 他们也是从入围赛就开始打起了。那你们有没有对他们做一些什么特别的研究呢？
入围赛的话，我感觉 TL 应该是在入围赛里面算最强的一支队伍吧。然后，特别去研究了他们玩老鼠落，还有他们可能卡牌体系也玩的挺好的这样子，所以今天可能我们也比较顺利的赢下来。
So actually, I think for Team Liquid, they're kind of the strongest team in the playing stage. And in terms of the drafts, I learned about their Rakan and Twitch bot duels, and also I learned they played a lot around the Twisted Fate, this kind of synergy, this kind of draft. So after all those researchers, I think we kind of win today's games quite smoothly.
I agree on that completely. The draft was on point. I feel like you intentionally left Rakan and Twitch open to bait them. Can you talk me through the strategy in the early game and what you needed to execute to cancel Team Liquid's bot lane just like you did?
那你刚才也提到了，就是老鼠和洛的这样下路组合。那你们是在做 BP 的阶段，是特意的有把这两个英雄来放出来的吗？然后怎么样是在对线期，就是在前期就有比较压倒性的优势呢？
因为我们的 AD 算是非常擅长玩德莱文这个英雄嘛，所以其实我们打老鼠的话压力就没有那么大，因为德莱文可以在对线的时候就很好的打爆老鼠这样子。
Because our AD player Huan Feng, he's a very good driven player and he's quite confident with this champion. That's why we just chose the driven for him. And then I think this champion is quite a counter pick for the Twitch. So I think we are quite dominant in the laning phase.
Yeah, they were not allowed to play here. Last question I have for you. You are the most experienced player within the Swooning lineup. Is there anything you did to help the players to be ready here for the tournament?
那其实像舍舍，你也是整个苏宁阵容里比较经验老道的选手。那在你们整个的一个磨合的过程之中，你有没有怎么样去帮助队友的一些部分呢？
帮助队友的话，就尽量跟他们讲一下我以前打世界赛一些要注意其他赛区的那些选手是怎么打的这样子。然后感觉第一把蛮可惜的吧，如果第一把我可以在后期的时候指挥的好一点的话，我们应该也能赢下来的这样子。所以希望下次打 G2 是可以赢下来这样子。
So in terms of the sharing, I'm kind of share some experience of facing against the players from other regions. And also in terms of the first game against G2, I feel it's a bit pity because if I can do a better shot call in the late phase, we may got the victory. So for the next time we face G2 esports, we will get the victory.
Yeah, very valuable advice, I can imagine. And SwordArt, thank you very much for the interview. Wendy, thank you as well for the translation. And we're going to take a break now and we'll come back in a few minutes for PSG versus Damwon. Stay tuned.